Oh, somebody asked me this earlier, and it was I was like stumbling for an answer, and it depends, I guess, if between TV or movies. Um, movies movies is very hard, but one of my all-time favorite movies is When Harry Met Sally. So yeah, and then TV. Is Carrie and Big a good?
Obviously, well, you can see in the preview that Mel still wants to have a baby. And I'm so glad that they showed that in the preview, because I was like, how am I going to talk to anybody about what's happening? Yeah. So yeah, so Mel still really wants to have a baby, even though she doesn't know if she can. And Jack is having twins with another woman. So it's very complicated. And we're just going to have to ride that journey and see if if their love prevails, and if Jack is down for having another child in the mix.
I think I would just get like probably a vodka soda with lime, because they don't have a lot of fancy things there. I don't actually know like what's on the menu there. I don't know food wise what's on the menu. I know he has a good kale salad, and then there's like a lentil thing that I ate in the first episode. That was pretty good.
It is may I use the term crapshoot? I mean, it really is. When we didn't meet each other before we started working together, and that both of us knew separately that was going to make or break the show, really, because at the center of the show is Mel and Jack's relationship, and that is what is at the center of Virgin River, the book. So, we just got, in all honesty, we just got really lucky. And I think that part of it is we have, I think we have very, very similar sense of humors and sensibilities, and I mean, we're totally different people, obviously, but I don't know, we get along really well, and we work well off of each other. Honestly, it was just, we got lucky. We did. We 100% got lucky. We had never met. We met each other at the table read.
Easy.
And I don't know that we had a lot of chemistry at the table read, but we certainly did when we started acting together once we got to set.
I love the scenes between Mel and Doc. I like how their relationship is evolving, and Doc becomes such a softie in season 3. And it's been really fun to watch Tim's navigate that that arc and that character, and yeah, and I'm excited for that dynamic going forward, because as much as I do like the combative relationship of them in the beginning, because that was also really fun for us to play together, I like this sort of like father-daughter relationship that they've developed. I think it's really sweet. The boat scene was pretty funny, actually. We had to dock the boat so that we could get the coverage, because you can't put cameras on the boat. So all of the stuff of, just us was like off of the dock. They just rigged it to the dock. And originally that scene had fireworks at the end of it.
She's not, I don't think that she's entirely convinced that she can get pregnant, given her history and infertility. And so that's a hurdle she doesn't know, but she does know that this feeling isn't going to go away. And she opens up to Jack in season 3 about that feeling. So that does create some tension, because I think that, Jack is already overwhelmed with his twins that he's having with Charmaine, and what that's going to look like for him. And Mel knows that, but she also knows that you can't just hide something like this. It's just too big. You have to go into the relationship completely open and honest for it to work.
Every season moves at a snail's pace, and I think with Mel and Jack, they moved so quickly. They didn't really move quickly. I think they had sparks, and they had such an intense attraction and magnetism to each other that they it got complicated very quickly, especially because Mel really didn't want to get into a relationship with someone.
You know, the second season, we did have a new character in there. We thought we were going to develop more, but I think the puzzle pieces, it just wasn't really making sense storyline wise. So, but I love Zibby Allen, who plays Bree. She's so much fun to work with, and luckily we get along really well. Kind of like me and Martin, we just met and we, you know, just got along. So yeah. So it's been fun. It's nice to see Mel in a different dynamic other than with Jack or with Doc, you know.
I think it was probably extremely traumatic for Mel, considering she lost her husband, which is part of the main reason why she didn't want to get into a relationship with Jack, was because she was terrified, petrified of losing somebody that she loved again. So I think there was a lot of emotional trauma for her, and emotional trauma for Jack as well, having served in Iraq and bringing up all of that for him, the violence for him and stuff. So brought them closer together. I don't know.
I mean, I think we just have fun together naturally. So it's pretty easy to just tumble that into the characters, which is why I think Mel and Jack, you know, that chemistry works so well, because we just get on so well.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm really trying to think who my last, I've been watching a lot of, well, Bridgerton, come on.
I always bring a lot of myself to the characters that I play, and Mel, you know, unfortunately, I've had very similar tragedies in my life. So playing her, they weren't the same, but they were similar. And so playing her was very like close to, when that first season was very, very real for me. I didn't have to do a lot of digging, digging around. But you know, I think of myself as a strong, intelligent person who's a fighter, and I think that Mel is the same way. And so I love playing that side of her, although she's extremely vulnerable, like we all are. And yeah, so I think pretty similar, not completely.
You know, I think it's when I see the final product, when I'm doing the table read, it's really just, I'm not thinking about anything other than what is the most authentic to interpretation of this world, and you know, how can we make this heightened reality more grounded. And so that's really what's going on, and like, how do we serve the characters and all of the arcs and stuff like that. It's really just about the work itself. But then once it's out, I mean, there have been like big storylines that I've, you know, been pitched where I was like, oh, people are going to go bananas. Like, that's just going to be bananas.
Gosh, there's so many beautiful places that we've filmed. We film a lot in this area called Squamish, which is kind of close to Whistler. So it's not quite Whistler. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, in the second season where we're fishing was beautiful as well.
Well, it's something that she's wanted since she was young, you know, and she fought tooth and nail in her marriage to try to make that a reality. I mean, she really wants to be a mother. She's very maternal. And I don't think it's something that ever left her, but I think it's something that after her husband died, she didn't see as a reality anymore. You know, which obviously compacted all of that grief and loss, and you know, it was major for her. But now being in this relationship with Jack and finding love again, which she never thought that she would have, she becomes hopeful that maybe I can have this. Maybe I can have a baby with this person that I love, and I want to have a family and raise a child. And you know, I know that for her, she knows that it's a huge thing to bring up with Jack. But in order to have an open and honest relationship, you have to be open and honest. And I think doing that from the beginning is extremely important, because, you know, you don't want to just say that out of nowhere down the road, not knowing how somebody feels. So as bold as the ask does seem, it is pretty shocking, I think, when you watch the episode where she brings it up. It's very real for her, but she doesn't know if she can even get pregnant, so that's another question.
Well, yeah, for me, I wanted to limit exposure to too many people outside of the cast, like too many guest stars. Just because it's really, you know, everyone was being tested, and we were taking very serious protocols to make sure that everybody was safe. But, you know, as things come out, you know that you can test negative one day and then be positive the next day. So I really wanted to keep it kind of tight knit. So we didn't do as many, you know, guest stars in the medical side of the show, which is unfortunate, because I think that that's a really fun aspect of the show, and it keeps it very colorful, you know, between the town and the romance, and then there's like the medical side of the drama. So that was disappointing that we weren't able to do that. But yeah, and being on set with masks is not awesome, because you know, you're talking and you're seeing this much of you. I mean, there were new crew members all over that I had met, and I didn't know how their face looked. It was really bizarre. I mean, there's one guy on the show where I only saw this much of his face, and we have PPE breaks throughout the day. Like, you get, you know, people can go and you separate yourself, very social distance, and you can take your mask off so you can breathe. And he took his mask off, and he had full facial hair.